meaning there is nothing sacred other than knowledge. He who has reached perfection by practicing karma yoga in its form of knowledge, in due time of his own accord, attains his own self. By reciting this 30th Sanskrit shloka or verse from the fourth chapter, that is Adhyaya of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, I would like to introduce you to Team Bharatiya Innovations. So, what is innovation? As per me, it is the act of introduction of new things, ideas, or processes, or devices, or ways of doing something new. What are the advantages of innovation? It can help to secure a sustainable competitive advantage by allowing an individual or an entity or an organization, or for that matter, a nation or a society to be creative to develop new out of the box ideas. So successful organizations do not see innovation as a byproduct, but implement innovative thinking in their organization, and in this way use the potential of their employees. Innovation also helps to respond faster to changing conditions. So as famous American writer Isaac Asimov once said, it is change, continuing change and inevitable change that is the dominant factor in society today. He once said, today's science fiction is tomorrow's science fact. And what makes this conversion of science fiction to a fact is actually a continual process of innovation formed by cutting edge contributions by leading innovators. Adapting positively to a change can actually decide the future course of an entity, and innovation forms a very significant part of this process. Innovation allows an entity to grow and differentiate. And for commercial entities, development of new markets and target groups is achieved through innovations. Innovation allows for increase in efficiency, for example, cost reduction in the company. And last but not the least, innovation brings added value for the society. Innovation brings positivity. And as a part of Team Bharatiya Innovations, we are going to make an effort to make a small contribution from our side to achieve global prosperity and create an innovative mindset by bringing forward Indian innovations. So how do we plan to do it? We are going to showcase and create awareness about the importance of innovations wherever possible and the need for sustainable innovation, which we hope that will eventually contribute to the prosperity of mankind by helping to solve local challenges. So we are a group of Indian enthusiasts about science and innovation. Our team is based out of various countries globally, which includes India, Germany, Singapore, etc. We try to discover various innovations happening in India or by Indians anywhere globally and try to bring them into focus of the new generation. We plan to interact with the society by inviting scientists, teachers, intellectuals for an open discussion on various topics. And with today's inaugural session, we are going to start our journey together with the today's topic for discussion, innovations in educational institutions. So without taking any more of your time, I now request Digvijay to give an introduction about our guest, Dr. Shailesh Ganpule. Over to you, Digvijay.
Hey, thanks, Nilesh. Welcome all. So I'm Digvijay Gawas. I will be introducing our guest today. So today's guest is Assistant Professor from IIT Roorkee, Dr. Shailesh Ganpule. He has done PhD in Mechanical Engineering and Applied Mechanics from University of Nebraska, Lincoln in year of 2013. And he is alumni from the Government College of Engineering 2004 batch. Before working as an assistant professor at IIT Roorkee, he was a postdoctoral fellow in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, University of Nebraska Lincoln, as well as Hopkins Extreme Material Institute, Johns Hopkins University for 3 years. And he was a senior engineer in Kirloskar Oil Engine Limited for 2 years. Working as an assistant professor at IIT Roorkee, he has taught subjects like engineering analysis and design, instrumentation and experimental methods, machine designs, dynamics of mechanical systems. He has published almost 28 plus research papers on Google Scholar. Also, he has supervised PhD students for year from 2007 to 2019. He has 2 ongoing sponsor project, one with the Department of Science and Technology about measurement of brain biomechanics in head surrogate, and with the DRDO about evaluation of test protocol and lethality criteria for fragment generated from warhead. So he is a fascinating gentleman, and we very fortunate to have him with us today. So without further ado, we will begin with the conversation with Dr. Shailesh Ganpule and learn more about the role of educational institution in innovation. Yeah, thanks. Over to Nikhil.
Oh, okay, thanks. Hello, Shailesh, Dr. Shailesh. My name, as I informed you earlier, my name is Nikhil Shirodkar, and from our Bharatiya Innovations teams, I would like to welcome you once again to our session. Dr. Shailesh, could you please say something? I'm not able to hear you.
Yeah. So, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, this is great. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Today's our session is about innovations in educational institutes. But before starting this session, I would like to tell our audience that when I was going through a few days back, I heard that our IIT Roorkee academics got an NSG Counter-Terrorism award. And when I was reading through that news, I was already inspired with that news. But when I started reading that news in detail, then I realized that it's my senior from Government College of Engineering, Karad, who has taken a great lead into it, and it was Dr. Shailesh who was really innovated this topic, or this helmet. And that was really a kind of a proud moment for me. I was really I was thinking, okay, this is something great, or it's a very great deal out of it. And then I started going through Dr. Shailesh's profile and started thinking more about it. And then I realized that, okay, it's really he has done a lot of work before reaching to this point. He has, as I'm highlighting on my screen, he has done many papers around this topic and so on. So this thing created a kind of a question in my mind. And when I was also discussing with some of my friends and colleagues, I was getting this kind of a similar question. For example, my friend Mangesh Nikam, or others that like Siog and all of them, they were asking, and same question I would like to ask you, Dr. Shailesh, is what is your real motivation behind following this research as your career, or are you, and what are you thinking about, what was your real motivation behind being a research fellow?
So thank you, Nikhil. So before we start, actually, I just are you able to hear me properly?
Yes, this is really
okay. So before we start, actually, I would like to congratulate Bharatiya Innovations actually for starting this initiative. This is a really good initiative according to me, and such things will help many other Indians to come forward and share their stories, as well as to do like innovative things. So basically, when Nikhil approached me, actually, he's my brother's friend, good friend. So when he really approached me, the first thing I said is, I'm not really a proven innovator. There are like many better people than me, even in IIT Roorkee and outside, many people in India. But since we had a connection, and the College of Engineering Karad was a common thread, I cannot really say no. He said that is fine. We need to start somewhere. So basically, that's why I'm here in front of you to really talk about the innovations in general. But before we begin, actually, I want to make it a caveat. I'm not really the well-proven innovator, actually. So whatever I am saying, take it with a pinch of salt, because I am also learning as I go through this journey, actually. So with this background, actually, now to answer your question, Nikhil. So basically, it kind of like all started, I would say, like as a serendipity. I never thought like I will work on something like this. Basically, whatever innovations that I have and on this blast resistance helmet. Actually, it all started when I was a PhD student at University of Nebraska Lincoln actually, and it was 2007. So basically, I was just enrolled in a PhD and trying to do some coursework and at the same time trying to get the hang of the research and stuff. So basically, there were two topics in front of me that was proposed by my PhD supervisor, Professor Namas Chandra. So basically, he said there are two problems that I'm currently working on actually, or just starting to work on. One is the fracture of asphalt pavement. So basically, asphalt is the thing that you put on your roads actually. Many civil engineers work on it actually. So that problem was, because of this thermal loading, there is a temperature change during the summers actually. There is a very hot temperature and then there is a cold temperature, fairly cold temperature in the winter and stuff. So that was the first problem, and they wanted to know how this basically the fracture takes place, what is the life of asphalt under this thermal fluctuations and stuff like that. So that was the first problem. And the second problem was there was a major war of Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan actually, and then what they were complaining was most of the soldiers that were returning from these wars in Iran and Afghanistan, they were finding this traumatic brain injury actually because of the blast wave. So basically in those wars actually, currently we say like it's asymmetric warfare. So its current wars are not like we are directly going with a gun or and fighting the enemy actually. So what these people used to do is they will bury like some explosives under the ground or somewhere, hidden explosives, and they will fire it as and when the troops come in. So basically that will automatically trigger when the troops come in actually. And those IED explosions were reported at the 20 to 30 explosions per day at least at a given location or a 1 kilometer territory or something like that actually. So one of the question in front of US officials was, and it was very hot topic in the media as well. So one of the questions at that time was, what is the role of these IEDs in causing the brain injury actually? So is it real, or it is there is some combination of like say brain injury or something else? And at the same time you need to understand that the trauma of the war itself is very huge actually. Suppose say even if we go and saw some accident and stuff, still our there is a effect on our psyche, maybe some effect on our brain and stuff. So separating effects were challenging. So basically that was an issue actually. So basically people wanted to know like whether these blast induced traumatic brain injury is a real issue or a head injury is a real issue. So that's where it all started actually. So I was posed with like these two problems, and so basically my supervisor told me like you need to pick like one of them actually, and it's up to you like what you want to pick. So he gave me like about a week or 15 days. He said like you go through the literature, you think through it actually, and whatever you decide, I'm fine with it. And but the only requirement is you cannot keep on changing. Once you say like I want to work on the say asphalt fracture or say head injury biomechanics, then you need to stick to that particular problem. And then so basically you take your sweet time, and then you tell me actually. So this is how it all started actually. This is how I got into the kind of like this particular problem, for which I did like some innovation in terms of designing of like blast resistant helmet. In terms of like really going into the PhD or taking like a research as a career actually, again like it was a serendipity. I didn't know like I wanted to do a PhD. Only thing is I was working in Kirloskar Oil Engine Limited after graduating from College of Engineering Karad actually. As many of us like with this lower middle class background, their dream is to get a job. So my dream was the same actually. Just getting placed is means if we get placed, our TRP in the college will go up. So it was the same case with me as well. So basically and then when I actually started working there, I had an opportunity to work with a lot of good seniors actually. So basically they told me like we are also doing these things, so if you just a bachelor of engineering may not be good enough in the field of research. I was kind of like knew like I'm interested in research. So basically they told me like if you go for like higher studies and stuff, then that would be a good thing. Then the choice in front of me is either to go for MTech or to go for MS and stuff. And again like many advisor advised me like if you go for MS there is scope is better, or even if you want to come back to India, you will have like nice opportunities once you are back from abroad and stuff. And I already had like, many people who had done like MTechs from IITs and stuff. They also advised me like, if you go abroad and if you really want, if you like the research, then you may continue PhD there and stuff like that. So this is how it all kind of like started, and I applied for the MS, and unfortunately I did not get any funding for masters actually. So basically then again, like the issue was who will pay for the education actually. So there was one professor actually, so basically he emailed me back saying like, your profile looks decent actually, but I do not have any opening for masters. So if you are willing to do a PhD, then maybe I can think of hiring you on a project and something like that. And the requirement put by him was, you will not get a master's actually. So if you come here and then decide to leave the PhD, then you have to go back to India without a master's. I am not going to give you any master's, so you have to work through your PhD. So that is the requirement. If you agree to that, then only we can talk further. So this is how it all started. And to be very frank, at that time I was not even knowing what is a PhD, what it is all about and all. Then I started searching, and I talked to many people. And the good part for me when I was in Pune was there were a lot of learned people around me. I was working in research and engineering development department of Kirloskar Oil Engines Limited. So I talked to those people. So again, like say, PhD is a type of business wherein nobody can say with surety actually. Like so, they said like it's a much complex process than MS actually. So you have to take the call and all. So basically, even my parents or family members were also not very sure where I'm heading and stuff. So then I kind of like thought through the process, and then I said to myself like, anyways, I am interested in this thing. So why not, I'm getting the opportunity, why not to take it and see where it takes me. And this is how it all kind of like started actually. So these are, this is how it all started.
Oh my God, that's a it's a really unique journey, I would say. I mean, your encouragement by your professor to pursue not only the MS but also PhD is also an significant instance, I would say, or event, I would say. This is really interesting for all of us. But how was how was your parents' reaction behind this journey, or how was your I mean, of course you told us about your friends, your guidance, or more or less people who you would like to get a suggestion from it, but I did not heard anything or much about your parents. How was their feedback, or your brother, so to say, because he is my friend, and that is why also
Right.
it was kind of interesting for me to know.
So basically, the thing was in my family, my maternal uncle was kind of engineer, so he kind of aware about these things actually. And I had like few other relatives who were kind of like very learned or done the PhD and stuff. But when actually what happened was, I gave when I was applying for MS to American universities, actually I gave my home address in Tasgaon as address of correspondence. So basically, when I got admitted there, actually what happened was my first I-20 came to Tasgaon actually. That is my hometown. So and then on there the amounts that were written for the first year tuition fee and everything was like close to maybe I don't remember for sure, but close to 60,000 and stuff. And my dad like immediately converted into rupees actually, and then he said like, even for the first year, whatever my entire life saying, I have to spend like entire life saying to really get to the your first year of a master's actually, and we cannot really afford that. So he was suggesting me like, why don't you change the company? If you do not like the company, you may try for like better company or something like that. Why you want to really go and stuff? So then kind of like they were supportive, but they were not really fully convinced about the financial part, or even they were not fully convinced about whether there is a need, because we were kind of like not exposed to any of these actually. For us or for them, having a secured job was a big thing. doing a job and just getting settled in the job and getting married maybe the more important than any other thing. So their reaction was, the decision is yours actually. If you want to go, we will not stop you, but the financial side, we will not be able to support you. Means they did not really say like we will not be able to support you, but they said like it's very difficult actually. And even if you, means I used to tell them like after one semester I may get a funding and stuff. So but it's all dark actually, who knows, and all that. And kind of like it kind of like started. So they said like if you get the funding, then only you go, or else you just stay back and try to just work through the job and try to find something, or why don't you do like in India and stuff. So then the only choice that is left to me is whatever was offered, that is PhD with the funding, or masters with no funding. So I thought like this is the only option. So I do not have really option actually. I thought, like I said to myself, like this is the only thing that I have. So if I want to really go, then this is the thing that I have to take. And then I kind of like said yes.
Yeah. Thanks. I mean, yes, of course, for middle class people like us, it is really difficult to make these kind of moves, kind of an immediate way or easily. But of course, we are really glad you took at that point of time that decision, and you went ahead further. So let's move a little further in our discussion. And in this whole journey, I was going through your papers, I was going through your research, what topics, whatever you have published, and when I was looking through them, I realized that it is kind of a sequential increment of all your efforts towards kind of a goal of making a blast resistant helmet, or the research whatever you are trying doing as well now. All those things, what you had done, let's say from 2010 to 2020, all these things I feel like an increment of increment of each and everything, step by step progression of those things. Do you think it in this same way, or how would you describe your journey in the research till now?
Right.
Maybe from
That's
2010.
yeah. So that's precisely right actually. Means it's all increment actually. So basically again, like, means I have like a lot of stories to tell. Just don't get bogged with that actually, because actually those are the stories actually. So basically everything was incremental. So basically when we started, actually my advisor was associate dean at University of Nebraska Lincoln. So the way it used to happen is he will have like a weekly meeting, and that too for only 1 hour, and then every week he said like we want like kind of progress and stuff. So basically when it started, actually we kind of like started from scratch actually. So in Marathi we say like it's a pori party, right? So basically there is no kind of like background, there is no history. If there is a history, then you can build upon that. But in my case, it was all the, means even my advisor didn't know like what his means. He kind of has some idea, but he never worked on this biomechanics type of like problem actually, because he classically worked on the metal plasticity and fracture and those kind of problems actually. So basically what he said was, I am also new to in this particular area. I know like how to do research, but I don't know how to really address this particular problem. So you have to take the lead. Means the money does not come from the sky, was his exact words actually. So basically I'm paying you like this much money, and you need to do, it's your PhD. I already did it like 25 years back. So basically we really started like figuring out like what do we need to solve this problem, both in terms of like computation. Means what is required actually. Suppose if you want to do like some kind of analytical theoretical work, or say computational work or experimental work. So we kind of like started like figuring out what are the pieces that we need for this kind of like research actually, and then started from there. And then slowly every day. So when I initially went, I had to do like courses and stuff. So we kind of like put this goal in front of us, because even in terms of guidance, he was very very busy. So I thought I told myself like it's a one day at a time. Means you need to progress like one brick at a time, one thing at a time. So basically every day when I used to go to my laboratory, the goal was I just want to have like incremental progress. I need to get better to where I was yesterday. So that was really a goal. So it's really incremental, or if you means it's delta t was very small, on the order of like microseconds, you may say. So basically we kind of like started there, and then initially like after 1.5 years, we started to get like some good results and stuff. So basically what happened was we kind of like said these helmets are not really good, meaning one of the findings that I had, like the earliest finding that I had was these helmets are worse than not wearing the helmets under the blast load. So basically if you look at classically the military helmets, those are classically designed for the protection against ballistic impact, meaning the bullet or the blunt impact actually. So these helmets were never designed for the blasting. So the first thing that we ran like some calculations, using finite element method. That is maybe if you have like say mechanical engineering background, it is very famous technique these days. It's a misnomer to engineering mechanics these days. So basically using this tool, actually we kind of like showed that these helmets have the worse effect than not wearing one, because what will happen is they will go back, they will go and focus, these waves will go and focus beneath the helmet. So there is always a gap between the head and helmet. Why? Because when the bullet hits the soldier, there is this 13 mm gap that is in most of the standards actually, and that 13 mm gap is required to really have that bullet like penetrating the head, or having like severe impact on the head actually. So basically what we found out was during this blast loading actually, whatever gap is there standard, so basically these waves are going and focusing beneath this gap actually. So it's like close to like two tides coming and meeting together. So this kind of effect actually, and means we kind of like showed that computationally, and this is again like extremely on the time scale, we were like kind of like talking about 2 millisecond simulation. So basically we would track how the blast wave propagate like every 1 microsecond or maybe less than that, and try to figure stuff out. So basically we showed this in the computation, and then nobody kind of like believed me actually. So we had my advisor was there, so he said like it is impossible, what you are saying is this helmet is no good, these guys are using right now in the military and everyone. So kind of like so I had like one co-advisor, she only was kind of like little bit trusting me, because she was seeing what I'm doing. She had looked at my models little bit here and there, so she kind of like knew, like at least from the modeling perspective, whatever I have done was looks like accurate actually. There was no modeling significant modeling errors or something like that. Then kind of like it went around like for 6 months actually. I used to show these results in the group meetings and stuff, and then there were discussions, and then it will vaporize and all that. So I incrementally kind of like went there, and then at the same time we were developing the experimental facility actually to really simulate the blast waves in the laboratory using a device called as a shock tube. So basically then what happened was, meanwhile the 6 months went actually, meanwhile our experimental facility became ready, and then we were ready to fire. So first thing that my advisor asked our team to do, actually some other people were responsible for doing the experiment. So he said like Shailesh is saying like these helmets are no good, can you really verify, can you just test it? So basically the first experiment, one of the first experiment after like initial assembly of this thing, or initial nuts and bolts and initial calibration of sensors and all that, once that is happened, the one of the first experiments that we did was we kind of like put the head form with the helmet, and then tried to put the sensors on the head form and tried to measure what really happens to the wave beneath the helmet actually. And to our surprise actually, not to my surprise, to many people's surprise actually, they also found like exactly same things. There is a focusing beneath the helmet and stuff. So basically the research engineer who was working, he came like running. I used to sit on the first floor, and our experimental facility was on the ground floor. So he literally came running and kind of like hugged me, saying like, hey, whatever your simulation shows, exactly same thing we are kind of like seeing in the experiment. So that was kind of the kind of like the moment for me actually, because matching these things with the experiment was a milestone in a way. And then kind of like we submitted our first paper saying like there is a serious issue with these helmets that needs to be critically looked at actually. And then that paper again, like kind of like went for a long review process. Initially it was with the editor for a few months, and then reviewers came back and they had like their queries and stuff. So this is how we really published our first paper actually. And then we kind of like sent this paper to Army Research Laboratory in United States, and they were also surprised. So everybody who will see this result, this is non-intuitive actually, so everybody will be kind of like either surprised or they will be in a denial. So basically then they kind of like tried to recreate that experiments themselves, themselves in their laboratory, and then there are many other groups who kind of like simultaneously proved that, and then it kind of like took off. And then based on that, we kind of like looked at how these blast wave interact with the head and what are the mechanisms, and then means the things were started moving in the right direction actually. But initially there was a big inertia or big starting torque, I would say, to get to the point where we can say like we can trust this group. So basically in this business actually, when we are in the research, trusting of a particular group is extremely important. And to establish a trust, you have to spend like a lot of efforts actually, hard work and efforts to prove that whatever you are doing is scientifically correct.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even to prove that Earth is round, humankind had to suffer a lot, and we had to take a lot of time to reach to that kind of a point, and I think same is the case today as well. If you are coming up with these points to someone who is using some pre-existing things for a while, they will always try to deny you. But only your knowledge and only your the strength of the truth, basically the knowledge is the only truth to communicate or convey that, okay, yes, you are saying correct and not the other way around, and so on. Yeah, interestingly, but going a little further, would you like to how was your I mean, when you were researching all those things, you might be having a lot of colleagues or friends who were also part of your research journey. So sorry for this one. So can you help us to how was your teammates? What were their way of interacting with you, or how their encouragement or how their involvement helped you into this proceed further in this journey?
Right. So basically, that's a good question actually. So see, research it's not like individual thing. You need the team actually. So we had like a really good group that we assembled at University of Nebraska Lincoln actually. So we were kind of like group of like almost like 10 to 12 people. So basically, some of them were kind of like doing on more like focusing on the experimental side, and we were like 3-4 people who were focusing onto the modeling side actually. So I was responsible for human modeling. One of other colleague was responsible for modeling, animal modeling in the rat and the piglets and those kind of things. So basically, so this coherency is important actually. So basically, what happens is in this thing, sometimes you may get lost, or you may find that there is a kind of like bottleneck that you have arrived actually. There is nothing new that you can do, or nothing that you can add. Then you can build upon what your colleagues are doing, the discussion. So we used to have like very detailed group meetings, or we used to meet like meet even casually, like informally, and then discuss like research. So basically, I had in terms of like our group at University of Nebraska, it was really coherent kind of group, I would say. And some people were responsible for experiments, some were competition, and everybody has unique problem, but everybody has kind of like this common thread actually, or the common connection. So we can connect the dots actually. We used to talk with each other. We can always connect the dots, and that was important actually. So basically, it kind of like helped me, I learned a lot while interacting with them as well. And I had like really good friends outside the lab actually. So when you are typically a graduate student, you will spend like at least like 10 to 12 hours a day in the lab. But once you come home, you want to get out of that kind of mindset and really relax and stuff. So basically, I had like really good friends, with whom I used to chill out, and they were roommates and stuff. So it was a fun journey. They kind of used to relax me a little bit, take me out of that research rigor. Some of them were doing masters, so they were slightly less loaded. So basically, it was a fun group, and then I can really give off some of my responsibilities to them, saying like I'm too busy, and so basically they excuse me a lot of times actually, going to grocery shop, or if there is a cooking turn, then I will say I'm too busy, I need to really submit this, submit that, and then so it was a fun time actually, I would say, managing all this.
Definitely, friends play a good role, or with great and good friends, you know,
Yeah,
your
and
life
particularly
journey.
when United States, you are far away from, your parents, or even I was at a place like Nebraska, it's middle of nowhere. So basically, you always rely on the friends, you don't have like anybody, means many people there actually. So the friend circle or the friends, if you get like good friends and stuff, it is kind of, it is kind of a boon, I would say. Then, you can really rely on each other, to just, in the difficult times, or, even on the day-to-day things, So this like also more, after some time they become like more like a part of a family than just a friendship.
Definitely. Yeah. Of course, I mean, when you are outside of your country, you are always seen as an Indian only. Then there is no differentiation. You are from Maharashtra or you are from Andhra or any other state, or even, all these gaps are kind of gone once you are outside of India. And we are kind of one, yeah, unit, or we are just citizens of India as a
Right.
whole. Definitely. So maybe, the next question I would like to ask is, when I was going through your papers, I saw that your papers were published at various different spots, like Journal of Neurotrauma, or, International Journal of Applied Mechanics. And, you are basically being a mechanical engineer doing core mechanical kind of activities, but your papers are really, something like a doctor is writing something about some neuro cells, or the impact and all those things, are more or less biomechanics topics, or even more than biomechanics. It is more towards medical field. So my question is, in a way, that did you try to learn those things, or how was your journey? For you to come to this point, you might have to read a lot about mechanical, I mean, other than mechanical things like biology and so on. So how you try to learn these things, and what helped you to grasp these additional things, so that your research can be supported with good or sound proofs behind it.
Right. That's excellent question actually. So when you are dealing with interdisciplinary research, you need to pick up like a lot of pieces other than what you are really trained for actually. So whatever courses I have taken, again, like mostly into the mechanical engineering and applied mechanics. So the best thing to do was, see, my advisor was really helpful in was really kind of a role model in that sense. So basically, he used to read like anything other than mechanical actually. He used to tell me like, I have read like enough mechanical, I know enough mechanical applied mechanics. So basically, he used to read like a lot of random books on neurology, on even psychiatry and the neurons and stuff. And then he used to give me those books. I did not get like time to read like all of them, but the way it works in the research is you need to pick up the things actually. So basically, what happens is, after like some time, after say initial 1.5 to 2 years, you become comfortable in your the thing that is your bread and butter, that is mechanical engineering, applied mechanics. Then when you really want to publish and you really want to make an impact on the field actually, then what you need is, you need to really put yourself in their shoes actually. If it's a medical doctor, how it is going to help him, or if it is someone who is like really developing the mitigation system, how it is going to help him actually. So basically, my advisor always used to famously say, if it's only useful to Shailesh, then it's not a good research actually. If it is useful to someone other than Shailesh, then only it's a good research. So basically, what I used to do is, I used to read like a lot of paper. So basically, what you will see is, even in the mechanical engineering paper, if they are working on say biological problem, they will cite like some important milestone paper in that. So basically, I have to read through them, and then make the notes, or stuff like that. And then we used to attend the meetings as well. So these conferences also helped me. So we used to go to these interdisciplinary conferences like National Neurotrauma Society conference, or there is this biomedical engineering conference, and then we used to discuss with the people across the board. And even in our group actually, my advisor used to invite like a lot of people from other kind of like disciplines actually. So basically, that also helped. They will come and they will interact and stuff. So slowly you need to develop that aptitude. The one main thing is, whenever you read like either a disciplinary paper or even interdisciplinary paper, one thing that you need to really pick out is, what is the crux actually, because every paper is like 15-20 pages, or something like that. There are a lot of information. Then you need to really figure it out, what is the information that is relevant to you, or what is the most
Exactly.
important information that is really want. And then only you have to take. So slowly what happens in the progression is I used to read like many papers, and I'm not like saying this just for, just to pat my back. It's just, so that everybody get exposed to these things actually. So initially, my rate was like, maybe I'm reading like one paper a day and stuff like that, and then maybe two papers and stuff. So eventually you will write like hundreds and thousands of papers actually. By the time you are kind of like, by the time you are ready to graduate, you already have like at least like 1,000 to 1,200 references in your reference list. Actually, we have like this EndNote as a reference manager and stuff. And slowly what you need to do is, if you really want to be a good researcher or good innovator, once you read the paper, you need to really remember the crux. Many people say like you need to make the notes and then keep the notes and stuff. So slowly, what really happens is, once you make the notes and if you do not really remember what is the main thing or what is the takeaway message, then there is no time in this business to really go back to all those 1,000 notes actually. So slowly I got into the habit, like once you are reading it one time or two times, three times, you need to remember what is the crux, and you should be able to cite it at any time actually, because this is how it used to work actually. So in our group meetings and stuff, we did not really have to go back to the notes and paper, because we will get like only 1 minute to explain what those other people have done or other group has done. So basically the best thing is you try to figure out what is the crux of the paper and then try to remember it, so that it also helps while writing actually. Suppose say while you are writing a paper, because when you are writing the paper, what you are doing is you are really putting the pieces together actually. So once you have the story ready in your mind, then you can put it in your word pad actually. If you do not have story, then you will always like go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So that habit I developed over time actually. Once I am reading, I need to know like what is the crux, what is the couple of points, and then I used to remember them actually.
Yeah, this is interesting. Of course, I mean, in nowadays a lot of things are happening, and you cannot really tap on or keep on following this sea of information and get everything out of it. Whenever you are trying to read it, or whenever you try to, whenever you see something which is interesting for you, you just have to grasp it and keep it in your back of your mind. Yeah, definitely. But when you are really part of John Hopkins Institute for your research activities, what was the institute's role there? We already known John Hopkins' name for a lot of things, and this is really a big name throughout world basically. But when you are inside it, so how is the view of this institute from inside? How it helps you to get the access to a lot of information, or how is the culture in there, and what is the role of that institute in your overall activities till now?
Right. So
be...
that's again, yeah, you wanted to add something?
No, it's fine. Please go ahead.
So that's again, it's an excellent question. So basically, Johns Hopkins is a excellent institute. Actually, I think I'm just fortunate actually, that I got a chance to really work with the good people there. And again, like I will not spend like much time. Even when I went to Johns Hopkins, I didn't know actually. I didn't apply for that position actually. It's again a serendipity how I landed in. So that's why I say like I'm more lucky than I'm what I have achieved actually. So basically, I applied to some other professor in Washington University in St. Louis. I met him in the conference actually, and we discussed at length, and I kind of like liked his profile. So I kind of like applied there, and then he did not have any opening, but they have like common collaborative project with the Johns Hopkins University. So he forwarded my resume to the professor with whom he was collaborating actually. And then one day the professor called me. I never applied, and I was in a car, and he said like, are you Shailesh? I said yes. And then he said like, we have opening at Johns Hopkins, and this is the background. I got your this thing CV from ex professor, and are you interested in this position? So I said, let me really look at it, and I went back and stuff. So the long story short, so basically when I went into Johns Hopkins, it's totally different kind of culture. I mean, it's not significantly different, but over there, the things are kind of like at in terms of fundamental research and on the clinical side, things that you get to see the complete picture. So there is a value to over there. I learned there is a value to each piece actually. It means if somebody is interested in what really happens to a single neuron, that is also equally important, and what really happens in the clinic when somebody undergoes a MRI or somebody is kind of like non-responsive because of the concussion. So every small piece of the small piece of the research is important. So basically over there I got to get to know like the complete umbrella actually, and then I was exposed to many bright-minded people as well. So in Johns Hopkins we also had like big group like 20-25 people, and we used to interact a lot. So one of the things that I would say in these big institutions is, you know, we will have like a lot of seminars, a lot of people will visit the institute actually. So literally almost like every other day there will be some seminar to attend, and each seminar will be somewhat exciting actually. So we had to make the choice. So initially what happened was, in the first 6 months I was so thrilled with that, then I kind of like my own work kind of like was lagging. Then I kind of like said to myself, I cannot attend everything, it's impossible. Then I need to really choose and pick. I need to attend like 2 seminars in a week. So there is a lot of, so it's like a flowing river. Whatever you want to take, you can really pick it up. It's up to the individual, and the atmosphere is really good. You know, people are very receptive. They are open to discussions. There is no dearth of funding if you really want to try something by something new. Only thing is you need to be responsible for which you have been hired actually. You cannot really leave that and try to do something totally different. But within the framework, if you want to really try something new and these things, they will promote actually. Over there as well, I got a chance to work with, I had like 2 mentors at that time. I really got a chance to work with them like really closely, and learned a lot actually. So basically one of my mentor was a very renowned Professor K.T. Ramesh, was very renowned in this extreme materials kind of like business. But you know, he's very renowned, but when you talk to him, you will never even realize like he's that big actually. You will talk with the same intensity with the Nobel laureate and a person like me who is in his office on the first day actually. So there is a lot of things that I learned, and a lot of pieces. You need any book, you need any paper, you name it and you will get it actually. So there is no dearth of resources. The only thing is you just need to pick up the pace, and you know, they will always try for the best journals, like best quality work and stuff. So it's not sometimes, you know, you have to be a little bit patient actually, because many pieces has to come together to get to that level actually. So sometimes you may feel like, oh, I had spent like 1 year, but I don't even have a single paper. Then at that time you may feel like frustrated actually. And when you are at Johns Hopkins and trying to go to the hop onto something, some third thing, or trying to get a permanent job and stuff, the expectation people, the way people will look at you is also very different actually. The guy is coming from the Johns Hopkins, so you need to live up to that standards actually. So that is the key. At the same time, you need to be able to publish, you need to have a rigor, you need to have the quality, you need to have all the pieces actually when you present it to the outside world actually. So it's a complete package, but at the same time, you need to put in a lot of hard work.
Oh my God. It's a different perspective, especially for me. You know, I was not really doing kind of research activities, or yeah, I mean, I just did my bachelor's, and afterwards it was completely stopped on that side. And from your discussions and short talks till now, I always feel that you are not only in one hand researching something, but also on the other hand you are always learning something new. And I think this is I think you would also agree that this is the key for the success. You always have to start learning something, so that the different aspect can be brought into your current activities, and your work can be broadened furthermore.
Right, definitely.
Okay, we talked a lot about John Hopkins, US and all those things, but at currently, if I see from my perspective, your life in US was really, it's like you have already achieved your goal, or your dream come true kind of scenario, I would say. Or for anyone, it could be the situation. Then afterwards you still you moved at some point of time to India, and my question would be that what was your motivation to stop those activities, stop that life there, and come back to India and do something little different? Of course, you are still in the research way, but what was your basic motivation to move from US to back to India and start your journey further in India?
Right. That's a good question. So basically, there were two kind of like motivations actually. So basically, what happened was I was I was exposed to a lot of things in those 6-7 years actually in the United States, how the US academia works, everything. So basically I thought like, it's getting saturated there, getting a faculty position is way tougher than, what you find it in India or, maybe in Europe. Mostly in India actually. So that was one of the reasons I thought like, working at say some third or fourth year university in United States versus, working in say something like IIT in India, if I have to make that choice, my mind was always, go to the IITs and, try to work there because, it's always, you can have like, both the things basically, professionally as well, you are kind of there, you can get like a lot of things and stuff. And at the same time, I was always talking to the people who were already in IITs, like some of my friends came back or my friends and stuff. So basically I kind of like, when I knew like when I was going into the Hopkins at that time also, I had a faculty position in India immediately. I did not go there. So from there I kind of knew like, if I want to go back to India, I need to prepare myself. I need to know exactly what's there in India because I never studied in any IIT or anything. So I started collecting the information from whatever sources I will get, and I will just collect it and register it actually. And then overall, when I saw like everything, when I put like everything in a single paper, in a map, I said it's not too bad actually. Means, it's not as bad as people portray actually in India. Whatever I was hearing from the colleagues and stuff, it is different, but it is not drastically different, or the fundamental things that matter to you, those are still there. The pieces are there. So basically other things that might not be there, maybe the quality of life, maybe other things might not be there, but the fundamental pieces that really matter for research or, for academic position, those pieces are there. So that was a motivating factor. I said like, okay, if I get the position there, why not? Another thing is my parents and, even my wife's parents were, my wife was one of also the advocate of moving back to India and stuff like that. So basically that was also a big reason. But if I would have thought like, it will hamper me professionally, then I would have thought through like 100 times before moving back. But when I weighing like everything, I thought like, it's almost equivalent. Means it's not totally bad on the basic things that really matter for any academic career actually. That's why I thought like it's a good time, and I got the position here. Everything kind of like worked out as I planned actually. At the same time, I had like position in US. Again, I talked to the people there. So on those kind of decisions, what really happens is ultimately it's you have to take the decision, because nobody else can take the decision for you. They can only tell the pros and cons, and for everything there is a pros and cons. So basically you have to weigh the pros and cons, and then you have to take the judicious call. And once you take the call, the thing is you have to just live with that actually. You cannot really go back and regret and say, oh, if I would have done this, this is better and stuff. I never did that. So anytime in my journey, that kind of like helped me actually. Once you have taken the decision, then you have to just live through it. You have to give like whatever you can to improve the system, whatever you can do the best by being in the system. You just do that actually. You can control what you can control. That's the thing.
Definitely, yeah. This is, this is the more or less, I have been in Germany, and it's also kind of a German thinking as well. Once you take a lot of enough time to take a decision, but once you take a decision, you honor the decision, you abide by the decision, and you go in that direction in further ways. And further, so once you moved from John Hopkins or from US to IIT Roorkee or to India, then how was your local ecosystem of collecting or getting information in your daily activities? Till now we already saw that you already had a good emphasis on understanding what is happening in the world, reading a lot of research papers or attending various seminars and so on. And I would say that when you are in US or in John Hopkins, the access to those things are kind of easy. But when you moved to India and IIT Roorkee, how was your experience there? Were you having a good access to all these informations and all these activities so that you can continue your innovative journey or research activities?
Yeah. So that's a good question again. So basically, I would credit like IT for this actually. These days, like we are saying like world is becoming flat actually. Many people have heard that. Initially it was round, slowly it is becoming in terms of the information or the knowledge sharing and all, world is becoming flat. So literally I did not find any significant drop off actually. I have collected like a lot of information when I was there. But when I came here, like in our library as well, Roorkee library, lot of journals, we have subscribed, or these people were open. There are some new journals I wanted, so I sent a request to my head of the department, and that was agreed upon. And within a year, we got those journals also subscribed. Again, like I had like some connections back in US, so those friends were always handy. You just send in the email, send in the link, and they will maybe they will get you the paper and stuff. If it is available. And these days, the ResearchGate and all those things, you have like emails of literally everyone that you want to really have it and stuff. My students are very good in finding the papers as well. So basically what we typically do is, if we do not find any resource that we need, we kind of like put the request on the ResearchGate actually. Many people are there. So if you put the request, typically what really happens is, they will send you the paper actually, because if somebody is interested in your work, people are always receptive to really send in that stuff. So on that, finding the information or finding the ecosystem in terms of like finding the books and paper, there was no drop off whatsoever.
That's good. That's really good to hear. It's like tap on IIT infrastructure, or even on India, that okay, even though we are different in terms of status in overall the world, but we are good in getting the information. And if you are new researchers, anyone new who want to do those activities, you don't really have to think in a way that okay, if I'm in India, I don't really have to have I won't get access to all this kind of information. It's because, as you said, as the world is becoming flat, then we can get all this kind of information. Parallel to this, when you are working in US-based institutes, I would guess, and this is just my guess, that you might be having a lot of instruments, or the various equipment to perform your activities. For example, also some different softwares and so on, to come up and prove that okay, this is my research and this is what these. I mean, this is my idea and this is my proof of that things. So those kind of instruments. So do you see that you get access to all these kind of instruments as well as softwares and everything back in India as well, or how was your experience behind it?
Right. So we had access to most of the common softwares that we see. Means in terms of like software and stuff, it was not a big deal. And I wanted like few new softwares. Then I approached our director actually, and he kind of like agreed. So the atmosphere is, if somebody is trying to do something particularly new, young faculty trying to establish his lab and stuff, it's the atmosphere is very receptive actually. Initially these days, when I came, we used to get like a faculty initiation grant of 10 lakhs. It's very less compared to US, but if you want like some additional money that is justifiable, they will give it to you. So these days they have increased it to like 20 lakhs. So basically you will get like whatever you need, and if it is a genuine request that is needed for your research, the administrative of any IIT or for that sake any institute in India, they will make an effort to get it if it is within the reasonable limits that are available, resources, financial resources that are available to them. So that was not an issue. And even the funding scenario was slightly better actually. So maybe 10 years back the funding scenario might not be that great, but funding scenario initially within first year I got my first grant actually. I wrote the grant and I got it. So basically through that as well I kind of like got the equipment actually. The only thing is now the question that you have raised is very important in a different sense actually. So basically what happens is there are two choices. Like if there are some complex instrument that you cannot really make it in India, then you have to buy it, and for that you may need like a lot of money. Even that money is available in Indian ecosystem now. I don't see like any big issue in that. So money is not an issue, I think, at the institute level, or if we approach some funding agency with good cause and good group and stuff, they will give it to you. But now what really happens is, sometimes what happens is in your research actually you get the project that is of less cost than what you really want to do. So in my case actually what happened was I got the first research grant, and that is the maximum limit was 50 lakhs. So I wrote the grant for 48 lakhs, and the amount sanction was close to like 45 lakhs actually. So in that I wanted to get like everything actually. So my to-do list, my wish list was like 10 atoms, and then 50 lakhs, I can only get get like 2 or 3. So what I did was actually, so basically there was one instrument that was easy enough to make actually, that was not super complex. So what I said was, if I buy it from say United States or Canada, all my grant will go into getting one instrument, and then I will be requiring like 8 other instruments that I will not be able to buy. Then I said like, this is fairly simple that we can make it. So in India, what is good thing is I typically call, I always tell my student, there is we call it jugaad actually, you know, this jugaad system is very strong. So basically I called like this my local vendor actually. I kind of like figured out who are the people who make in Roorkee actually, you know, means forget about making even in India, because I want somebody who can, I can go to his workshop and, you know, work with him like directly and stuff like that. So basically they suggested me like a couple of names. I called them actually, I asked them to meet and stuff, and then I described like, this is the thing, so can you do it? So one of the guy, everybody kind of like said like they will do it and stuff. So basically one of the guys said, okay, I can do it, but I said like, this is everything, you know, that I have got and I'm putting in your basket actually. So if you mess up, my first grant will be gone actually, means, you know. So just make sure like you can do it actually. Just do not say like, ha ho jayega, I will do it and stuff. So basically he said like, give me 10 days. So I told him like, you know, tell me a plan how you are going to do it. What will be your design? If you need any help, like, you know, in designing and stuff, and if I know, I will help you. So basically he went back, he did like all the preliminary calculations and stuff and all those things. Then I kind of like took the stock of that and saw like, okay, where this is heading. And I kind of like got like confidence myself, yeah, this guy can do it. Then I talked with some of my colleagues actually. So they said like, yes, this person can do it actually. He has developed like these kind of similar equipments in the past. So he'll be able to do it. Only thing is his time scale is a little bit tricky. So if you want it in 3 months, we are not very sure whether he will be able to. So you need to work with him like closely. You need to be patient with him a little bit, because there might be some failures and stuff. So we kind of like started that thing. And then as planned, initially it was delayed by like a couple of months. And what happened was, when we wanted to test it for higher pressures, actually his compressor broke actually. So that was a setback. Then we lost like 4 months. But then once you decide to work with somebody, you need to just work through it. You cannot really live in between. So basically you have to work with the people, and then the things will happen. I know like this is very small example. I will give like another example, because in a bigger picture sense, there is a good group in IIT Bangalore actually. They work in the shockwave research. They are one of the best labs in the Asia, and maybe second best in the world actually. They have built it, you know, through jugaad actually, you know, going to the local vendor, local people, motivating them to do things, you know, giving them the confidence. They will do it. You have to back them up. If they fail, you don't have to really shout at them. You have to work with them. Things will happen. There are some complex instruments for which we do not have technology. That will happen like maybe 20, 30, 40 years down the line, eventually, I mean, sooner than the later. But all these small things you can definitely do actually. In that sense as well, I do not find any difficulty. Only thing is you need to put like a lot of efforts and energy into it. It will not happen ki you will just place the purchase order and the equipment will be delivered on your door actually. You need to work with these people, engage with them, you know, learn together. That is the
right.
That is
exactly. Yeah. You know, of course, I mean, once you try to get your instruments prepared, I think you in the journey also you also learn something extra, you know, that you didn't know. I mean, if you just bought an instrument, you might be just using it, but when you try to make it or get it done for yourself, then not only you will understand the output of it, but also you will understand that how this machine or instrument works in a better way, and then, you know, this will definitely help you in further stages. And of course, you know, if you are preparing it or you are making it, your fellow students in IIT Roorkee, for example, can definitely use those equipment for their activities. And likewise, you know, we can also build up our base of equipments or the infrastructure throughout India. I mean, I was, you know, in another way trying to come to this topic, but thanks to your, you know, previous statement that in India, jugaad word is kind of a famous, you know, and this is where I'm trying to come at. So when we say innovation, or, you know, when we say an scientific research activity, how would you describe the life of an innovation? I mean, when we say that jugaad is just a I would say jugaad is just a first step in your research activity. But how would you, you know, describe a kind of a life or, you know, different stages of any innovation?
Right. So again, like that is a good question. And again, for the people who have joined late, I will put the caveat: I am not really a proven innovator. I just did a very small thing. So whatever I am telling, take it with a pinch of salt. It's not the proven path. So means I myself have not even proved it yet. So there are a lot of things that we need to get it done before it is it will see the daylight in my words actually. So basically, there are a couple of things actually. So basically, we talk about this in our institute as well a lot because there is a significant emphasis on innovation. So the fundamental difference between I would like to clear like three things here actually. First is there is a fundamental difference in the research and innovation, and maybe we will come to the jugaad in a minute. So what is the fundamental difference between the research and innovation? The research is, you do something fundamental, you put it in the form of publication, and then that's done actually. Then somebody who wants to pick it up, they will pick it up. If you want to pick it up, you can pick it up and stuff. So basically, research is you do some fundamental work, really articulate your findings or summarize your finding, and that's done actually. Innovation is totally different beast actually. So basically, it means innovation, you need to have like something more than the research. Research is something you have done, and you can just put it in the this academic full stop you can put. In innovation, there is no academic full stop. There are many semicolons in innovation. There is no full stop for a long time. Means in fact, I don't even know whether there is any full stop in innovation or not. For a given product, I'm saying it's not just one thing. So basically, it's a continuously evolving process actually. So basically, what really happens is, taking it from, so basically, whatever fundamental research we do in the laboratory, we call it, there are total 9 stages actually. So basically, we call it technology readiness level. So there are total 9 technology readiness levels actually. And so whatever happens in the laboratory, typically in academic institute, is typically a technology readiness level 3 or 4. What does that mean? So basically, proof of concept. So you are saying like, if you do this will happen. So this is establishing this cause-effect relationship. So that has been typically done in these laboratories and stuff. So basically, that many people just go there and stop there actually, and after going from like 3 to 9 is a big struggle. So many people, like even our current innovation is at 3 or 4 only. So going from 4 to 9 is a different beast actually. For that, you need like experts from various domains. They will tell you what will work, what will not work. Because what happens is when you are trying to sell something to somebody, it's a totally different beast. When you are trying to publish a paper, it's a totally different story, because it's just a paper at the end of the day. Means I'm not discounting anything on a paper. There is a lot of effort that goes in there. But at the end of the day, it's just a paper, right? It's just a documentation of what you have done. But when you are trying to sell something, it should be sellable. Somebody is ready to put in their money to really buy it. When I say somebody, means some investor, or because he will have like the market in the mind and stuff. So basically, what really happens is, to go from 3 to 9, you need to work with like many people, and that is what we have started doing like recently, like very slowly. Then they will tell you like what will work, what will not work, what is sellable, what is not sellable, what are the issues in selling to a particular organization or particular audience that we are targeting and stuff. So basically, typically the journey of from TRL 1 to TRL 3, the journey can be anywhere between say 2 years to 7-8 years, depending on what type of problem you are working. Suppose say you are really interested into a consumer product, like say Gillette blade. Maybe your entire innovation may be finished in 3 years, or initial TRL 3, TRL 4 you will achieve in 6 months or 7 months. But if you are trying to do something like say blast mitigating technology or something, then even the fundamental will research like a drag for like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, who knows. And then from top of that, the other norms, from going from say 3 to 9, the norms will be very stringent actually. So basically, what we typically do is, then we look at the ergonomic aspect, we will look at what will be saleable, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable, and then you have to take help of like other people. So recently, like this Department of Science and Technology in India, they have started like technology innovation hub almost in every IIT actually. And then the goal of this technology innovation hub itself is to take whatever is there in this research paper, or at say TRL 3 and TRL 4, and to realize it to TRL 9. So it's only sellable in India or outside the world only when it is at TRL or TRL 8 or TRL 9. It is not sellable anything below that actually. actually. Okay, so basically that's what we try to do actually. But one thing that I would like to emphasize here is, if you spend like too much time in, so from 3 to 9 you need to move like really fast. If you take like too much time, then somebody else will go and win the race, because it's already out there and stuff. Excuse me. So I will tell, so basically I will give you like one small example actually. So I also don't know many things. I'm also learning these days. So basically I had a meeting like last month with the CEO of our technology innovation hub actually, and he was, he was trained in Korea. He spent like significant time there. So basically the way they do the innovation is, even if you want to fail fast. You do not take like 5 years to fail. So basically, typically in these mobile companies and stuff, he was telling me actually, it was exciting story. I think it's good to share with everyone. So basically, what they do is, if you have something that they think is innovative, then what they do is they will invite you in their industry actually, not in education. This thing I'm just doing, telling the side stuff, and then they will take your mobile off for like 15 days or 1 month. So your contact with the outside world will be lost for 1 month. Whatever you want to develop the product from this 3 to whatever stage you want to take, you have like 1 month to do it. So there are two things that will happen. Either you will succeed in doing it or you will fail. So now, even if you fail actually, then you will fail in 1 month. You will not take like 5 years to fail and then start from scratch or start from where you were. So basically that is the model that is required actually in the innovation actually. So basically, if you really want to do it, you do it like slightly faster, as fast as possible. And even if you fail, you can go back, like where you have failed. Because there is a famous statement, this bulb, like he failed like 1,000 times, and 1,001 times he invented the bulb. It's the same story in any innovation actually. So basically that is the model slowly we want to go. So the role of this technology innovation hubs that are developed by Department of Science and Technology, they want people to fail, but they cannot take like 5 years to fail. That is the key. If you want to fail it within 1 year. And then maybe fail like one more time, so that is the idea. So after 5 years, at least, like if you have 10 ideas, then at least one will click. That is the overall goal actually. Now coming to Jugaad actually, now the fundamental difference between the Jugaad and innovation. So Jugaad, what really happens is, in Jugaad, nothing is documented. It's like trial and error. So you try it, if it works, and then I see it in my hometown actually. If it works, then the motorbike in motorbike shop or many shops, you will see the Jugaad. But then what will happen is, you will forget after 1 month what you had done. If you do not document what Jugaad you had done, it is gone, it is lost actually. And classically, this is what happened to Indian ecosystem. If you look at our sadhus or even our this thing, they will tell like everything orally actually. The knowledge has been lost. Dr. Mashelkar has to fight a lot even to get a patent for haldi actually, because Europeans claimed it, because in our system actually it's oral. If you go to your mom, he will have like a lot of things to tell if the baby is crying and stuff, but that is not written actually, unfortunately. That's the same story with the Jugaad. It's an oral thing. It's a trial and error, and then you will forget. So when you try to document it, actually, now what happens is, when you try to document it, you try to find anybody else like has done like similar kind of Jugaad actually. Then it becomes like much more rigorous. Then it becomes, when you're trying to file a patent, you're trying to do things, then it becomes like much more meticulous job. Jugaad is, you're just doing, okay, your job is done, everybody's happy, and then you forget about it. Okay, so basically, if we really want to take the Jugaad, and we have a lot of innovators in the small towns or even in the cities and stuff, but what really happens is, once the guy is gone, the knowledge is gone actually. That is not been documented. So we need to think through it. We need to make an effort to take that knowledge that is there in our villages and the towns and the this thing, and try to make it in a systematic way. Then we have then we can really compete with maybe Korea or China in like say 10-20 years from now actually. That is my take on it actually. We have a lot of good things, but only thing is, it is just not documented. It is just a trial and error, hit and run, and then person specific thing, and forgotten after some time. That is killing us actually.
Exactly. I mean, we do have a lot of knowledge, but as you said already that we are not documenting it. I mean, we have a saying in Marathi, "Baap dakho nahi to shraddh kar." So we need to have everything documented in a proper way, in a way that outside world, other than just not in India but outside the whole world, they can understand it. They can, if they want, they can recreate it, and they can get satisfactory proof for themselves that yes, our things what we are saying are the way they are, and yes, this can be applied. Of course, this is something we need to change, or this is the main point in current Indian mindset, that we need to move from really from jugaad to innovation, or jugaad to the real research activities.
Right.
And
So
yeah,
I
this
want to
is
add like one more thing actually that might be very relevant to audience actually. So we have like this in India, they have started like this design institute actually, NIDs, National Institute of Design. So basically, if you look at their admission criteria and stuff, if somebody like really have the aptitude for jugaad, even they are started promoting those guys, they will educate them. If they are not meeting these qualifications, academic qualifications, then they will train them. But they want to get those people actually, because what really happens is getting those people out of their comfort zones into the institutions where they can really contribute is again a big inertia actually. So we need to, as an academic system, we need to also be slightly flexible in terms of our academic requirements, what we can do, what we cannot do, or what we can relax, what we cannot relax. So we are evolving on that front as well, and I think that is much needed. That is the need of the hour.
yeah, definitely. I think, I mean, we have been talking a lot, and I think we are, as always, time is short, and I have to, speed up a little thing from my
Right. I
side.
will try to give the short answers actually. Sometimes in the flow of talking, I keep
No, I mean,
on.
I don't really want to, say do it this way. I mean, you are giving a good knowledge, and are really precise things what one should know before doing, or anyone who want to do something need to do those things. But still, because of the time limitation, I would like to ask only one or two questions, and then I will give it back to Digvijay for further Q&A session. So my one of the topic further was about having the IP, or the patents behind it. So I mean, I would be trying to summarize the question in a way that when you are doing and research, you really own those things. But when you are doing it along with some institutions like educational institute, or some hospitals, or any other kind of a funded research activities, then how those IPs come into picture, and who owns the IP, and how those things are getting defined behind before starting those things.
Right. That is a good question again, and very relevant for this today's topic actually. So basically, the inventor actually, the principal investigator, or the inventor as we call it, inventor owns the IP only. So the role of academic institute is a facilitator actually. So we have like very rigorous protocols defined for that actually, and very fair protocols, I would say. So basically, what really happens is, suppose you have any innovation or anything, then you file a patent. When you want to file a patent, then we have a committee actually. So basically, you give the name of the experts who work in your institute, excuse me, in this or similar area. So basically, they will go through the patent. But at the before even the your patent or whatever you have written is sent to them, they have to sign the agreement saying like they will not use it for their own system, or they will not, they have to keep the confidentiality, and they will not steal the idea. So they have to sign it. So basically, even when we review like somebody else's work, we stick to that protocol actually. So basically, who is inventing, he will own the IP rights. Institute will be the facilitator. Now once we get the patent, then maybe there is this right sharing and stuff. But even then, the majority of the majority stays with the innovator only. Institute has only mainly facilitator role. And it's a very prideful thing for institute to have like patents from their own faculties or the students and stuff. So institute is always helpful actually across all the IITs actually. In fact, they are promoting, if you have idea, in fact, they will behind you to patent it actually. So it's other way around, in fact.
Yeah, okay, understood. Thank you for this point. Maybe just a last question I would ask from my side, and then we will try to open up the Q&A session. So just I think it is a bigger question to discuss all about it, but how would you compare US ecosystem of innovation versus Indian ecosystem of innovation? And additionally, maybe a second question, but how, what should be the effort we should be taking to improve, or to progress in Indian side of innovations in a better way? I'm not saying US is better or something, but we need to progress, and this is where my question is: how we compare it, and then secondly, how we should improve ourselves.
Right. That's an excellent question. So I have no hesitation saying, like, we have far behind in behind US, or Europe, or in fact for that sake China actually. So basically, if you look at basically these things cannot be really compared on one-to-one scale, because the communities, the American community or American ecosystem is much more matured, at least 10 to 100 times mature than what we have actually. We are catching up actually, but at least we should get to the point where whatever we need for our country, at least we need to be self-reliant on that. So basically, present government or even previous governments have started some work in that direction, and present government is very keen on that. So basically, Atmanirbhar Bharat is the motto. They are pushing it in academia as well as in industry actually. So whatever things what we think is we should own, or we should have on our own, the innovator should come forward actually. So slowly we are moving. There is a lot of good atmosphere created in terms of like startup, or even promoting these activities in educational institute, or in the industry. So those are things have improved actually. The only thing is the scales at which we do the work, both in terms of innovating as well as both in terms of taking this to the logical end. That on those two fronts we need to move like really tenaciously actually, and for that you need sincerity as well as patience. So basically, if you just stop like you did something, okay, that's fine, I got this award, or I got this promotion, or I got this recognition, and you just stop there, then it's not going to happen. Means you have to own it till the end actually, till it happens, then only it will happen actually. So basically there is a lot of good atmosphere is there, and comparing the systems is not really relevant. Even if we try to do like try to compare with ourselves. Suppose say last year we had like say X amount of patent, and we increased by say 100%. So we should put like those self improvement goals actually. If we improve our if we are improving on those fronts like by 100%, then that is the good milestone. Or just having a patent is also not enough actually. You need to, whether those products are really useful to the people of India or people of the world, then it will come a full circle actually. So we need to move on those fronts actually. Maybe slowly we will get there, but at least we should focus on the things that really matters to us, and then those things are there, and I think I'm sure like people are trying on those lines. Only thing is we need to defend. Sometimes what I feel is we are a little bit weak on defense actually. Somebody says no, this has already been done, then we will say okay, this has been done, there is no point. Because see, there is always something niche factor that we can always add. So basically, we lack in the consistency or tenacity to put it, because then it will go to the lawyers, and many a times they will say like this has been done and stuff. So that defense part, how to defend your idea, how to really prove it to the world is very important. And particularly if you are trying to file a non-Indian, suppose international patent and stuff, then defending our ideas will take you like a lot of effort. It's not that we are not lacking in the ideas or not lacking in the infrastructure. We need to have the brains or the resources, who can tenaciously defend it, who can go back tirelessly and take it to the logical end. That is what needs to happen actually. The side stuff, the atmosphere has been created. I hope like this will continue for a long time. So these kind of things are not done in like 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We need like at least 20, 30 years to see a significant impact. But we need to sustain ourselves both financially as well as from knowledge point of view actually, and in terms of sustainability, we need to be doing our job on all these three fronts to get to a point where we are at least comparable to the world.
Yep, thank you. Well, thank you for the deep understanding of all the ecosystem comparison and all our sessions, all our questions till now. So maybe for now, because of time limit, I still have a lot of questions to ask to you. I still have many things to to discuss and so on. But because of time, I would I would end my session from my side, and I would like to hand over the further things to Digvijay. Digvijay, would you please take it forward. And thank you once again, Dr. Shailesh, for your fabulous contribution of all the knowledge and all the information from
No problem.
you shared
It
with
was
us.
nice discussing with you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a very good session where we are getting the inputs from the insider of research activity. So, like, we are the peoples where either we want to know the research product or research output, or I mean, the participants where they want to get into the research. So this is very good session where someone from the insider is telling us what's happening and how you can go get into this. So thanks for that. I like to mention one point where you, I mean, you said that you had this finite element simulation for the helmet, where you have the microsecond resolution or simulation. So I guess that is where you get the very resistance where it is not accepted initially, and then someone from the experimental team experimented it, and it then get I mean boom for this idea. So this very look like a movie story. So it's someone from the sci-fi movie story. That's that's very fascinating. So yeah, with that, I have some question from my side and some from the audiences. So first one from the my side is you mentioned about the India is lacking with some research instrumentation. So you import the research instrumentations from the other country, or so I mean, should India produce these instrumentations, or should government play some role here? The government is lacking.
Yeah, that's a good question actually. So see, basically there are certain instruments actually, those are like producing those like indigenously. First of all, we have to have technology. Means even if we decide, so basically there are two parts to producing. One is, if somebody is like really designing the car in Germany and we are just coming and manufacturing here, that is a very small part of the story that maybe we'll be able to do it, or in fact these people will also be comfortable in doing that actually. But see, basically you have to have a technology that is kind of like that is kind of like restricted by the patents actually, so getting those things are non-trivial. Means basically to develop that kind of technology, to develop like that kind of things, it's doable actually, but uh, means so basically making like having like industry who can manufacture these kind of like complex instruments and stuff, that will take like some time actually. And another thing is the demand. Right now, what happens is in US or Europe, if you try to develop suppose you want to have like say some kind of like scanning electron microscope, for example, this is one of the complex instrument. Then if you start a company doing like scanning electron microscopy, then they know like at least 20 people in a year will buy it actually. So that is a sustainable business. In India, like only 2 or 3 scanning electron microscope will be purchased in a year. So even if you try to do that, it's not a really profit making thing actually. So for those kind of things, we have to think. So basically there is one professor in IIT Kanpur actually, he came to Roorkee to deliver lecture on that front. So what he's doing is he's working with his graduate students and developing those microscope for his laboratory himself. But he has all the knowledge, he has patience, his students have the patience and stuff. So these days what really happens is students also have to graduate in 3 to 4 years. So all those pieces has to come together actually. But yes, means if there is a market, if we are that much confident that we will be able to sell like at least 4 or 5 complex machines within India and have the capability to sell it to outside world, then why not? But that I think have long way to go. Even if we buy it like some very high profile instrument from foreign countries, it is not a big deal. I would rather say like even if they buy it, that's fine, because there are a lot of things that are needed well before that actually. I will give you like one small example. We use like high rate sensors in my research actually to measure the biomechanical response on the head and stuff. Even getting those sensor or indigenously manufacturing those sensors is a big inertia. So we have to start from the small things that we can easily do, and there is a market, and for which we can build like confidence for ourselves. Instead of taking like big steps, we need to take like many baby steps before we realize to do like many complex instruments. And if somebody like next generation is thinking, okay, I will dedicate my entire career on developing like those kind of instrument, or I will dedicate my startup, then that is fine. Somebody has to come forward actually, because it is not trivially done.
Right. Okay.
So it takes like almost the entire career to have like one complex instrument ready to sell. It's a life cycle of 30 to 40 years.
So it's like it's combined effort from a country where you have to build up this framework of the knowledge, also the startups, all the supply chain, and all need to be in place to get that ready. So you mean the government is doing this role? I mean, it's actually working in this area, or?
Yeah, government is doing, but again, like in terms of funding, we are nowhere close to foreign countries, because our budget and everything is small. So basically, see, if we try to think, we will exactly copy the same model as that of like Western countries. It's not going to work. We have to think differently. For example, I will give you again like the example of ISRO, like this Gaganyaan or whatever this thing they did. Actually, nobody really believed like they can do it at a low cost. So basically, we need to know like who we are first of all. If you really want to develop something indigenous, we need to know what is our budget, who we are, what are the resources available, and then we need to define a framework, and we need to work within that framework. Actually, that is doable. Or in other words, I would say like instead of like already instruments that are there, maybe there are a lot of new instruments that are needed and stuff. So instead of like spending time and effort on whatever is already available in the foreign countries and that we can maybe reasonably buy, we should focus on the things for the future. Actually, okay, this is the thing that is coming and everybody is competing to make this thing, then we should participate in those kind of activities than going back to the technology that is 30 years old. That is my take again.
Right. Yeah, so we will take some questions that is shared by the audiences. So one of the question is like how the IT professional can contribute to the research and development in IIT. So it is from Sumit Shirokar. So what do you think about the IT professional being in the research field?
Okay, so can you just repeat the question? I do not fully understand the question. Means in
so how can IT professional contribute to research and development work in IITs?
Okay, so basically there are two aspects to it. So basically in IIT system, actually, unless and until you are kind of means there are two channels. Unless and until you are employee of an IIT, means getting any reasonable work or faithful work is difficult. Then another thing is, if you cannot really come and work within the IIT system, then you can always collaborate actually. Not only means within IIT system, there are a lot of problems that people are working in IT sector, or these things. So basically they can contribute on that particular front actually. So basically they see, another thing is the collaborative culture in India is lacking as compared to the Western counterparts actually. So basically we need to have like faithful collaboration actually. And once if that is happening, then we will be able to so for that it's a two-way. Means IIT professors has to also come forward, because sometimes they are reluctant, and at the same time industry also needs to understand what are the limitations of. So it's not like foreign private universities like where everything is kind of like done like very fast. It's a system is still a little bit has that bureaucracy in it. So basically you need to know like how to work with the system and establish the collaboration and stuff like that. Maybe small collaboration initially to see these things. But and on the other side, I would say like in general, even research with the IIT, but in general there are many problems in India. They're very small problems that can be solved actually. For example, our databases, or even in hospitals, some of the IIT students has recently started this startup actually. So some of the hospitals don't even have like the medical records actually of the people. Everything is kind of like written and it is lost and stuff. So there are a lot of things where IT professional can contribute. So if they have like some ideas, they need to approach the professor. Sometimes they will be receptive, sometimes they will not be receptive. So if they are not receptive, they should keep trying, or if nobody really is interested, then they should take it on their own chin and try to develop it to certain level and then take it from there.
Yeah, correct.
And
So it's
another thing
like
is, means they don't have to only work with the IIT professor. Even NIT, a lot of good work is even going on in a lot of private or NIT or government colleges and stuff. So we need to work together actually in whatever platform we get an opportunity.
right. Okay, so the other two questions are more related to your life or it's your journey. So the one which I guess you already, I think, answered in the sessions is like, I will just read the question. So what was the driving force for the speaker to, for you to pursue the academic career? So I think you have answered, but just short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, till PhD, it was serendipity. There was that was the only choice that was presented or logical choice that was available to me at that time. I wanted to really do a master's to know like a little bit more than what I already knew. And once I started like doing this after 2 to 3 years, actually, means I started getting interested in this academy. Actually, I like the research. I really enjoy it. It's not like means I thoroughly enjoy. That's why I'm in this business actually. And means there are many role models in academia. Both my advisors, postdoctoral and doctoral advisors, are kind of like role models and stuff. So basically, one thing that excites me about the academy is independence. Actually, you can work on any problem that you like any day. You don't have really a boss. So basically,
Right.
means that was the only motivator. And teaching the next generation, training them was always I always liked the teaching and stuff. Starting with my brother, I used to harass him a lot, but so it was kind of was there. I was always interested in that. That's why I took it.
Okay. Yeah, that's good answer. So I have another question, which is again, it's related to you. It's what's the daily routine of a as a scientist?
So it depends, everybody is different. It's changes from individual to individual, but see, for me it's slightly different actually. So with the kids and stuff, it's like 10 to 6 officially in the lab and stuff, but you are always thinking about something actually. So sometimes I get in a lot of trouble with my family, particularly in my wife and stuff. So sometimes coming out of your thought process is very difficult if you are really deep into something. So sometimes she might be telling something and I'm not listening, or okay, and then after 2 days I will say, oh, I never discussed, or you never discussed this with me, or we never talked about it and stuff. So means coming out of it is a little bit tricky sometimes. Even when you are going into the bed and something is wrong with the student simulation and stuff, you are always thinking about it, what's going on, or why it is like that and stuff. So officially you may say like 9 to 6, but it's kind of till you find the answer is the correct way to put it.
Correct. There is no like time bounds here.
So even if you're not in front of screen and stuff, it is always there, revolving in your head actually.
Right. So one small question from me is, do you watch sci-fi movies?
When I was in USA, I used to do that actually. We used to go watch a lot of movies, actually sci-fi. But these days, I do not get time. My son itself is a lot of happening individual, so I get like all the things from him only. So no, these days I do not find any time. Just kids and managing house and managing the group and managing the work itself is a lot of work. So I did not get any time, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah. So thanks for giving this insight in your research journey and the innovation. Also, you mentioned the importance of documentation and the systematic way of study. And you, really very well established the difference between innovation and jugaad, which is, jugaad is which is India's most
Right.
used things. And you also mentioned about this National Institute of Design. That's also good. Thing that we were not know about with respect to
Right.
that. Right. So yeah, and I think it's with the hard work, patience, and consistency that is one day at a time made you a successful person. And I think younger generation will definitely will inspired by your journey. And I'm very thankful to you to share this journey with us. Thanks. And
Digvijay, hi Digvijay. Sorry to stop you. I think there is also one question coming up from participant. Can we take that question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Actually, the participant with name Mangesh Nikam would like to ask a question. So maybe Dr. Shailesh, I will simply unmute him. I ask him to unmute himself, and he can ask a question directly to you. Mangesh, would you like to ask?
Okay, thank you, Nikhil. Hello, Dr. Shailendra. Thank you very much for your speech. Your words really motivated us. Yeah. And I have a small question related to one of the emerging technology of artificial intelligence. So it's really playing a role in the human's life currently. So just a question like, is there any channel or source where if any one who is interested in AI can get information or some help in order to make artificial intelligence use in daily life or in innovation? So just want to ask.
Particularly for student, right? Or any working profession as well.
Actually, anyone from working professional. Actually, I work in IT profession, and when I was doing my MTech, I had a subject of artificial intelligence, but at that time didn't found that much important. Like, but now currently it's playing a key role in day-to-day life. So related to that one, so any channel or any institutes where people who are really interested can get some help or
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I'm not really fully expert on those matters. Actually, I will give you the brief answer based on whatever I know. Actually, so basically, this machine learning and artificial intelligence is the buzzword of, means you will find it like everywhere. Actually, even if you're watching YouTube channels, those advertisement will come actually. So basically, there are a lot of on YouTube as well, or on the Google itself, there is a lot of information that is available. That there are a lot of courses that are available on the YouTube and stuff. And almost like every university, even every IIT, I think, has a program on artificial intelligence and stuff. So basically, even we started, IIT Roorkee started a program on artificial intelligence, masters in artificial intelligence and data science this year only. So if you follow those websites of like IIT or the web pages of the professors or YouTube, like full length courses, everything is available. So that information is available. Now, how this information, so you soak in all the knowledge on the artificial intelligence. Now, how it is useful for the betterment, how you are going to use it for the betterment of human life, actually, that is a totally different piece. So for that, you need to really means get into it yourself, actually, or work with somebody who is into it, and then maybe formulate a problem, how it can help and stuff, and take it from there, actually. So in terms of information, there is a ton of information, then more information available than what you can soak in on the internet. Or if you go to the educational institute websites, entire courses, people will put the notes. And these days, our knowledge system is also becoming open. So if you look at the web pages of the courses and stuff, you will find like a lot of information provided as open access, actually. So you can learn a lot. Once you have like a very good idea, or if you're already an expert, then how to really use it is you may have like your own ideas, or you may need to work with the expert who has experience in that. So I guess like in many industries and many academia, at many places, you will find like people using artificial intelligence to solve day-to-day problems, actually.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks again, Dr. Shailesh. So I also like to thank Bharatiya Innovations for conducting a session on this innovation in educational institute. Thanks Nikhil, thanks Nilesh, thanks organizing people. And finally, I also want to thank all the audience and attending the session, and also asking the questions. Thanks all.
Thank you, and I wish this Bharatiya Innovation all the best. I think you will get like many more speakers or many better speakers in the future.
No, no. We also would like to, I mean, again have a session with you with a deeper, some specialized subject as well.
Definitely.
This was a general topic, so
Right.
yeah, we could not get to the all questions.
No problem. No problem. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you once again, Dr. Shailesh. And just now I'm trying to share my screen. Here is our contact information. Whoever want to contact us, you can reach us. We have various handles, like we are available on Gmail, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And we will keep on arranging these sessions regularly, and you can get in touch with us. You can follow us on these fronts, and yeah, you can join our journey as well. Once again, thank you very much, Dr. Shailesh, for your valuable inputs. We wish you all the best for your new and further research activities, and yeah, have a very nice and successful career for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot. I wish you all the best as well, all of you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Nikhil, I will also leave the meeting. Is that fine?
Yes, thank you, Shailesh.
Yes, thank you. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.